2, 1, 2. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Motive Racing channel for tonight's action here in the Red Arrows Racing League here for round 8 of 12 for season 13. And we're back here tonight, as you probably can recognise, at the Marina Bay Street Circuit, the host of the Singapore Grand Prix for round 8. And we've got a comment already coming in here from a very familiar face here on the Motive Racing channel. He is, of course, Motive Racing's season 6 champion, or was it season 7? I think it was season. Joe, I'm on the spot now. This is really embarrassing. I think it was season 6, and he's obviously the champion of Motive Racing's Formula One League. Not the last champion, but he was the penultimate champion of the F1 League. And good to see him back in the comments. He's racing tonight as well. Looking forward to seeing him on the channel for the first time in a long time. Also got Simon here in the comments, voicing his support here for Super Striker, saying, "Come on, Super Striker," in the comments section. So good to see Simon cheering on Super Striker here tonight, as we've just got a bit of a delay getting the into the actual lobby itself, but hopefully the cars will load up in a second and we'll be good to go here for the start of this qualifying session here. It's going to be a one-shot qualifying session before the sprint race. So it's a sprint and then a Grand Prix here tonight. It's a sprint round here at Singapore. For those of you unaware of the Red Arrows format, every 3 weeks is an ordinary traditional Grand Prix with a qualifying. Every other 3 weeks is a one-shot sprint and then one-shot Grand Prix. And the other 3 weeks, it's a 3-tyre compound race, which is where you have to use all 3 dry tyre compound, the soft, medium and the hard. So that's the variety they have here, and they just do it on a rolling basis. So 1 week is one of the methods, and then the second one will be another one, and then the third will be another one. But yeah, it's a different way to do it, but it's very interesting, and it spices up the variety of races. And you have some drivers who are good around certain formats, and other drivers who excel in different disciplines. You know, these one-shot sessions, they really do reward calmness and composure under pressure. The tyre compound races reward strategy, and the Grand Prix are probably the ones that reward raw pace the most out of all 3, because it's pretty simple, really. You pick the right tyres, and you bang in a lap in quali, and you bob your uncle. But nonetheless, we see currently Super Strikers leading the way here in this one-shot quali as they're coming towards the end of their laps now. So this is where we're going to see things decided. And in fact, Senna has just headed Super Striker here as they come into the final corner. So it's going to be close here between these two. Who's going to get pole here in Singapore? It's going to be Senna by a 1/10 of a second there ahead of Super Striker. So it's a close session there between those two. But Senna just edging it there ahead of Super Striker, with Seeley there in 3rd place, North over P4. And we'll see the rest of the order in a minute. I did notice C. Faulkner was up there quite close to the top of the leaderboard towards the end of that lap there. So let's see where C. Faulkner managed to end up, because he's a driver who's been doing pretty well in Purple Sector and hasn't really delivered so far in this league. But so far tonight at Red Arrows, he's put it P5. So very, very good effort there from him. Surprising to see Mark Bowe down in 8th place. He's a driver who you always usually bank on being up there fighting at the front. Justify, a driver who I commentate on the Purple Sector, has joined the Red Arrows League for this week. Good to see him on track. Currently P9 in this qualifying for this sprint race. Obviously it's a one-shot. I've never seen him do a one-shot before, so it might not be his strong suit. I know he's very quick in the qualifying sessions at Purple Sector, but nonetheless, we're moments away from the start of this Singapore Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula One League. Sorry, the Red Arrows F1 League, should I say. I apologise. Sorry, my head's just stuck in the Purple Sector, though. But yeah, this is Red Arrows F1 League for those of you who are unfamiliar. And that's not going to happen again. Jesus Christ. It's seeing all these names that I associate with PSRL, and it's just making my head it's making me blurt out familiar phrases. But here we are then, guys. Nonetheless, we are moments away here from the start of the Singapore Grand Prix, round 8 of this 12-round season here for the Red Arrows F1 League here for season 13. And this is obviously the sprint race. As I said before, not the Grand Prix itself. The main event will be coming up afterwards in not very long at all. But for the time being, here we are. So looking forward to seeing Senna starting from pole position. Can he convert it? Our former champion for Motive Racing's F1 League. Also, I've been putting together a potential plan for a Motives F1 League to come back. I'm thinking I was planning on running it 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, but I've thought to myself maybe run it on Sunday only, and potentially maybe if there's interest, run an F2 League on Wednesday. I don't know if people would be fancy that, because I've figured out that obviously you've got Red Arrows on Monday, which a lot of the guys race in. Oh, we're going straight to the race. There's no build-up. Jesus Christ. Here we are then. Lights coming ahead. We're about to go racing here for the Singapore Grand Prix sprint race, and it's lights out and away we go. And Senna gets a good start there from pole position. Super Striker also got a good start. And both of those two well clear of everybody else into turn 1 as Northover has moved ahead of Steely there up into 3rd place. So that's a great start there from Northover. Steely there tucks into 4th place for the time being. You've got C. Faulkner there in P5 ahead of Corey, followed by Meldav, Justify, Bo and Little Mahin completing the top 10. Then we've got Jordan Hideo there running in 11th place, followed by Hammer, then X10 ahead of Murph, followed by Liam and Super Calgon running in P16 at the back of the pack at the moment. But Senna clinging on to the lead here. Super Striker looking pretty racy here on this opening lap. And Senna lagging there, going wide, going through Raffles Boulevard. Gets a tap there in the rear from Nordover as well. And it seems to be all over the place here. He's got a big damage there as Senna. He's going backwards here, no front wing. That was a bit of lag there that caused that one. I don't think that was anybody's fault. I don't think anybody actually caused that. That was simply the fact that the connections weren't in sync there. And Senna is absolutely plummeting on the leaderboard here. I think he's going to bail out. Hopefully he can get the internet sorted out for the Grand Prix, because that's absolutely gutting there. Did a phenomenal job there in the one-shot quali just gone. Hopefully we'll see Senna back for the Grand Prix. He'll obviously know whether he's lagging once we get into the one shot for the Grand Prix. So if he can maybe get back in and try and test that out before the Grand Prix itself, that'd be great to see Senna on the track if he's able to restart his internet. But nonetheless, Super Striker has the lead here coming towards the end of the first lap. North over there in second, ahead of Steely, followed by C. Faulkner there, who's now up into 4th place in a very strong position after Senna's retirement there. We see the rest of them all coming through the final corner here to complete the first lap of the race. ZX10 has had a bit of a nightmare. So is Mark Bowe. What has happened to Mark Bowe, one of our championship contenders here, has lost his front right end plate and is going to be coming into the pits here at the end of this first lap. So that is an absolute horror show here for Mark Bowe. The only solace he can take from this is that it's the sprint race, not the Grand Prix, and therefore he won't lose as many points as it potentially could have been. But he's just got a 10-second time penalty just to kick him in the balls a little bit more. That's the equivalent of wrestling somebody to the ground in a boxing match and then kicking them in the balls. That is Mark Bowe getting his disqualification, or I think he's left the session as well. But Super Striker leading ahead of Northover, followed by Steely, with Steve Faulkner there in 4th ahead of Corey, Meldav, Justify, Little Mahin, followed by Jordan and Liam completing the top 10. Murphy's attacking the back of Liam, but still a little bit too far away to make a move just at the moment. Super Calgon not too far away from these guys either, but down this little straight here towards the final sector of the lap, and Super Striker tucking into a bit of a lead here. He's looking a bit more comfortable out the front at the moment. Can he get these tyres to the end without really pushing them to their limit here, because it's a pretty long race, 11 laps on one set of tyres, the medium tyres. This is actually, do you know what's funny about Singapore is I worked this out the other day when I was doing career mode. I was very surprised to see this, but the tyre deg is actually very low around this circuit. I always had it in my head that it would be a relatively high tyre deg circuit because of the fact that there's so many corners, and also it's quite a long lap, it's a slow lap. But actually the funny thing is that the tyre deg is quite low because it's a lot of slow corners, and there's not really too many, you're not really tearing around too many of these corners. They're either easy flat or slow, and so what it is the tyres barely get worked at all around here. I've realised the hards do about 3% a lap, the mediums less than 5%, the softs maybe take a little bit more, but yeah, the medium and the hard tyres barely get worked at all around here compared to some circuits anyway. But nonetheless, Super Striker has got a 2-second gap over North over there. Steely, who's the only driver to run on the hard tyres in this one. Is that going to pay dividends towards the end of the race? as the medium tyres start to just drop off a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on that because Steely could be in a prime position here. Already running in third place, but Northover could be looking in his mirrors at the end of the race. If Steely's able to hold track position for now, with these drivers who are behind him on faster tyres, then he might be able to have a crack at second towards the end of the race. But I tell you what, I don't think anybody's going to be able to challenge this man here out the front, because he's got well over 2 seconds of a gap right now as Super Striker seems to be in a league of his own at the moment. At this point, I can't see anybody challenging him, but never say never. I don't want to put the curse on him too royally here at this point, but yeah, he certainly looks to be in control at this stage in the race. As we see Liam there making a little bit of an error there going through the penultimate corner, but and another one there as well, and that's going to allow Murph around the outside. He's going to look to try and go the long way here, but he can't do it, and here comes Hammer looking to the inside now of Murph. He taps for Liam in the rear there. There's Hammer a little bit. He's up the inside now of Murph, and he's going to get that one done. Is he? No, Murph keeping it around the outside here as they're still side by side, and Hammer unable to make that move there into 11th place. Hammer there must have thought he had that one done there going into turn 1, but it wasn't to be. They've all got DRS now on this Red Bull of Liam, but Murph was so busy with Hammer there that he wasn't really close to Liam going into that DRS zone. He gets close towards the end of the DRS zone, but nothing doing at the moment, and holds position behind that Red Bull for the time being, as these guys still battered it out for 10th place. What a great battle this is here, as Murph there looked a little bit tentative there going through that corner. That just allowed Hammer to close right up onto the back of him here, but still not really in a position to make a move at the moment, because obviously we're not into the DRS zones yet. The next DRS zone, I reckon he might have a chance. Saying that though, Murph's still got the DRS on Liam, so that's going to keep him in good stead as they come into this next braking zone. Murph getting a bit close here on the back of Liam, still a little bit too far away to make that move into the braking zone. He'll have a good chance though for coming down the flat out section in the first sector next time around. In the meantime, Super Striker's lead now 2.7 seconds over Northover. Steely still putting the pressure on the back of Northover right now as they come down towards turn 1 once again here. Still a little bit too far away into turn 1. 3 DRS zones around the Singapore circuit. It's not the easiest to overtake, so I suppose those 3 DRS zones are somewhat warranted. I do remember in the days before DRS, this track could be absolutely painful to watch in real life, but nowadays with these DRS zones, F1 is a whole different ball game, especially the fact that they've added in more DRS zones over the years. Remember, in the first few years of DRS, there would only be 1 DRS zone per track. Now some tracks have got 3, even 4 DRS zones, a couple of them. As now we see Murph getting another great run here on Liam. Looking to the outside now. He's going to try and keep himself there, but carried a little bit too much speed around the outside there and couldn't keep that momentum. As now he's going to get mugged here by Hammer potentially. Hammer's got the inside for this next left-hander, and has got that move done up into 11th place there. So Murph went for the move, ended up getting caught out there by that kick Sauber, and Hammer now up into 11th place on the fringes now of a points-paying position. So that'll be a bit frustrating there for Murph, having gone for glory and ended up with egg on his face somewhat. He's also got a 3-second penalty as well for track limits, so that will certainly come back to bite him on the bum at the end of this race. But Super Striker still continuing to assert his authority on this track, on this pack at the moment. Currently 4 seconds clear of Northover. Really is putting his championship rivals under a bit of pressure here. And I'll tell you what, one driver who's notably missing tonight is Soggy Cucumber as well. Soggy Cucumber, obviously the championship leader from a couple of rounds ago. I'm not sure if he's still the championship leader now. Actually didn't really get a chance to read the standings out. I'll do that during the one shot for the Grand Prix actually. Bear in mind it would have changed ever so slightly in between this and obviously the end of the sprint race, but nonetheless I will read out what it was before now, so that'll give you some idea anyway. Justify in the meantime, moved out a little Mahin and Meldav here, and Steely's now made the move on Northover, so the hard tyre is certainly working for Steely. So Northover getting a cut back there. Oh my goodness me, he went steaming in there, and C. Fortner is going to move up into 3rd place. C. Fortner says thank you very much indeed, Northover, and it's now up into the podium places. So what a drive it's been from C. Fortner so far here tonight. We've seen glimpses of real talent from C. Fortner in Bevel Sector on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so far here tonight in Red Arrows here this Monday, he's definitely showing he's got a heck of a lot of talent behind a car on the F1 game. Can he now challenge Steely for 2nd place? Obviously we know that Steely's on those hard tyres. Steely should have the advantage in the last couple of laps of this race, so if he can keep track position on these guys now, he should be able to leave them for dead here in the last couple of laps, as long as he's looked after them properly. hasn't gone a bit too hard on them throughout any of these faster corners. The only real tyre killers, this final corner here is a bit of a killer on the right rear, but apart from that, there's not really too many sections of this track at Singapore which take the life out of the tyres. But nonetheless, this battle here for second place, which Steely leads, C. Faulkner, Northover, Corey, Justify, Little Mahin, all in close proximity at the moment. These 6 drivers here, all keeping pressure on the Ferrari. Justify here, a debutant. C. Faulkner obviously has been in this league for a while here in the Red Arrows, but Justify is probably the he's the perennial pole sitter at Purple Sector. That's what it is. He's almost always on pole position. I think more than half the races this season he's been on pole, and he's currently doing a very, very solid job here so far in his debut here in the Red Arrows League. Yes, I've said a couple of times, I think the pace is slightly higher in this league compared to what we see on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Not much. There's not much in it at all, but it's probably maybe half a second or so, I'd say, the ultimate pace. And he's made this step pretty well so far. He's keeping in the battle for the podiums, and that's all you can really ask for on a debut. C. Faulkner driving an absolute cracker here tonight as well in 3rd place, but Super Striker has just absolutely got off and gone here at the start of this race. I mean, what can you say? He's just miles ahead at the moment. This is an absolutely superb display of driving, and it's similar to what we saw at Monaco 3 weeks ago now. No, 2 weeks ago it was 2 weeks ago. Last week at COTA we saw a similarly workmanlike performance, but certainly not the type of dominance that we're seeing here tonight, and also 2 weeks ago at Monaco. Yeah, Super Striker has done absolutely splendid here over the course of this sprint race. Just look at the lap counter. We've only had 7 laps, and he's over 6 seconds ahead, so almost a second a lap is what he's gaining on these drivers behind him. It's been really, really exceptional so far here tonight. Steely, we're still running in second place. I said before that towards the end of this sprint, the hard tyres will start to become slightly quicker than the mediums. Obviously, in the first part of the stint, the mediums would have been the advantageous tyre to be on. At this point now, you start to see the switch over in performance between the 2 tyres, and I reckon these last few laps, Steely will probably have a bit more confidence because these tyres won't be sliding around as much as these medium runners. In the meantime, Corey looking very close on Northover now. Looking pretty hungry here for this 4th place. You can obviously see a podium just up ahead as well. So, you know, Corey will be wanting to get on with this, because I'm sure he's got his sights set on Faulkner running in 3rd place as they come down this little straight here and in towards the final sector here of this current lap that they're on. Super Striker, in the meantime, is coming towards the final chicane here once again, and just in cruise control at the moment. Look at this. What a drive it has been from Super Striker as we go back to this battle here for 2nd place. C. Faulkner here keeping tabs here with Steely, but Steely I think now is just starting to turn the screw a little bit. Oh, C. Faulkner there's got a 3-second penalty. Oh no, that's going to really hurt him here, because there's so many cars in the pack behind him. That could drop him down to 8th place, I reckon, potentially. You've got Melda there riding in P8. The gaps are very, very tight here. The smallest little mistakes in these types of races in such a competitive league is going to cost you absolutely dearly. So fingers crossed C. Faulkner can maximise here on his last lap and try and just get as many points as he can, because it's been a really good drive from C. Faulkner, and he can take the confidence going into the Grand Prix, because like I say, you know, it's been a strong performance all around. Obviously he'll be gutted to have missed out on the podium here in this one, but nonetheless can definitely have his head held high after this one, as he makes a little mistake there, just taps the wall there. They came out onto that little straight there, but Steely now looking ever more comfortable here in this 2nd place. Northover will get a podium by default now, because obviously C. Faulkner has got that penalty, but Corey will now be sensing a potential move here on Northover. Could be pivotal, because it will now be for a top 3 spot with that penalty there for C. Faulkner. Justify will be a top 5 finisher as things stand in his debut here at the Red Arrows F1 League, which he'll be, I'm sure, absolutely delighted with here. In the meantime, Super Striker here coming out of the final corner here to start the penultimate lap of the race. 7 seconds to gap right now over Steely, as this pack of cars from 2nd all the way down to, well, 7th now, because Meldav's just dropped off a Little Mahin, who's running in 7th place at this point. So I think now it's a 6-car train instead of a 7-car train. But nonetheless, it's still a heck of a lot of drivers here battling over 2nd place. as coming through this towards the end of this first sector here. This is a pivotal exit because if you don't get a great ride out of here, then you really do open yourself up to an attack. As now C14 looking very close here on the back of Steely. C didn't get a good run out of there at all, but C14 nowhere to go, can't make that move at the moment. And as things stand here, he has not got enough of a gap to these cars behind. He will drop down to 8th place as things stand. But nonetheless, a really, really strong performance here, and that will be... he can take confidence from this, there's no doubt about it. But yes, it'd be frustrating as hell, I'm sure. So we've got a lap and a half to go here in this sprint race here for the Singapore Grand Prix. The Red Arrows F1 League, Super Striker still dominating the race here, like he has done from the word go, pretty much. In the meantime, we've got to keep an eye on Liam and Hammer, because these guys are battling over the final point, or rather not the final point, because it's the sprint race. Of course, it's only the top 8 that get points in the sprint race, so I was just spreading misinformation there. A bit of an naughty of me indeed. But nonetheless, they come over the line here to start the final lap of the race, and Steely is still holding on to 2nd place. And I can't see him losing this now with those hard tyres. They should be only growing in confidence compared to the mediums. Oh, Justify's made a mistake on the final lap of the race here. So Justify's dropped down to 8th place, was running in P6 for the entire race, and has dropped down to P8. So that will be, well, that might give C14 a 7th here potentially if Justifies out of that 3-second range. Let's have a look. C14, yeah, as things stand in this race, he'll drop down to 7th, so might not be as bad as he thought it would be. Is in the background here, Corey making a move on Northover for 4th place. Is that going to be job done here? Northover keeping it around the outside. It's very, very close between them, as he's got the inside now for this next corner. Corey is going to try and fight it out here, but Northover clings onto that by the skin of his teeth. Corey's going to have another chance here through the final DRS zone in a few corners' time, and he will be absolutely on it here to try and take over that 4th place, because it will be for 3rd once that penalty for C14 kicks in. Well, I was saying that if these two hold each other up even more in this last lap, then C14 could still yet get the podium, which would be pretty miraculous here. But if these two keep fighting like they are right now, potentially it could happen here. It's nonetheless, but coming into the final few corners of this lap here for Super Striker, the race leader, he's going to extend his championship gap here at the top of the standings as he comes through the final corner here at Singapore. It's going to be a sprint race win here for Super Striker to kick off the night in the best possible way. Super Striker takes the checkered flag and is your winner here for the sprint race. It's going to be Steely to come around to take 2nd place on the track. C. Faulkner is going to get that penalty. Is it going to drop him down the order? It is. So Northover gets 3rd place ahead of Corey in 4th, with C. Faulkner P5 in the end. Very respectable. Ahead of Little Man in 6th, followed by Meldav 7th. Justify on his Red Arrows debut there in 8th place, followed by Jordan in 9th. Hammer over in 10th place. Super Calgan 11th, followed by Liam 12th, with ZX 13th and McMurph 14th there. But that is that then for this sprint race here to kick things off here for the night. And if that's anything to go by, then we're in for an absolute barnstormer of a Grand Prix. Excellent racing there from everybody. Really clean, didn't see any moves that I even had to question there. So very impressive stuff from everybody there. So Super Striker, Steely and Northover. Your podium finishers with Corey, C4 and Lil Mahin, Meldav and Justify getting the points for the opening race of the night. Welcome back, everybody. We are moments away from the start of a one-shot qualifying session here for the Grand Prix itself in this Singapore Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League. So we have now got Senna back in. Obviously, he was the pole sitter for the sprint race, but very unfortunately ended up on the sidelines early on in the race due to a disconnection. So let's see what he can do here. He was obviously, as I said before, has got previous form here in this one-shot quali here at the Red Arrows, but Mark Bowe's currently leading them on this flying lap here. So obviously had a very, very dodgy sprint race. He'll be looking to try and right that wrong here over the course of the Grand Prix. Senna moving up the order here as they're coming through towards the end of the first sector. Just dropped a bit of time there. Tell you what, it's fluctuating massively right now. That it's so close between everyone. So you're seeing not really much change going on at all here. Oh, saying that, I think Senna might have been disqualified from the lap. I think he may have invalidated his lap here because he's now showing up as P16 and potentially Justify has also done the same thing. So Super Striker's currently at the head of the pack here, with Bo very, very close behind. And Little Mahin and Northover in third and fourth place. Jordan right up there near the front. Bo's just headed Super Striker here, so close between these guys. Bo will need to win this Grand Prix if he's to claw back the points that Super Striker's been gaining on him over the last few rounds. Lil Mahin also in between these guys, so it's very close here as they come into the final corner. Who's going to get pole for this Singapore Grand Prix? It's going to be tight. It's Super Striker by 0.02 of a second there ahead of Bo. So that's incredibly close there between those drivers. And we're going to see Senna coming from the back of the pack to potentially try and win this race. That'll be a heck of a task there for him. 14th on the grid he's going to be, but Super Striker there taking pole ahead of Bo in second, with Little Mahin there in third place, Northover fourth, and Corey P5 here for this one. Scott, as he says, Justifies Racing too. Yep, he's joined the league. I wasn't aware that he'd joined until this afternoon when I looked in the driver check-in, and I saw that someone asked him if he could see the page in the chat, and I realised that Justify will be making his debut here tonight, which is very exciting to see. We've got some quite serious rain here. It doesn't look too heavy, but certainly, well, at least intermediate tyres. I wonder if the drivers are going to be putting wets on. Hard to see from here because you can't actually see the track. Obviously, you can only see the pit lane. So I'll be interested to see what it looks like through some of the lower parts of the circuit. It's not a generally undulating track here at Singapore. It's mostly flat. So, yeah. Let's see what happens anyway over the course of the race. Do apologize to everybody. Unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of a delay here in getting the race underway. I think there's been some kind of connection issue here. We should be underway in a minute. Justify is not happy with the rain. He's saying, "Oh God, kill me." And we've got Simon there, so it's going to get spicy. Scott says, "Gutted I'm not racing in this if it's wet." Here we are then, underway here for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's a slippery start here for these guys as Super Striker leads into turn one. There's Bo there on the inside, keeping ahead of Corey for the time being. Little Mahin here has got Nordover looking to his inside as Nordover's trying to move now ahead of Corey as well, and has moved up into third place for the time being. So what a start there from Nordover in the opening stage of this one. Little Mahin there moving ahead of Corey. They're side by side though, coming down towards this next section, and Corey had to just take a tight line there, and Little Mahin around the outside as they're still side by side here through Raffles Boulevard, but it's currently Super Striker out the front who has the lead by nearly a second over Bo at the moment, so looking very comfortable at this point in this one. Little Mahin now moving ahead of Corey up into fourth place, and Steely's also battling here with Jordan as they're side by side here coming into turn 4 or turn 5 should I say, and he's managed to Jordan's managed to stay ahead there. Steely getting mugged there by Melda potentially around the outside. Is he going to make that move? No, he's not. Steely for the time being holding on to 8th place. Liam's moved ahead of ZX10 there up into 14th place. That's a move for position, and Super Striker out the front still as Little Mahin has binned it, and we have got a virtual safety car here, so drivers going to have to slow down for just a minute or two and wait for the marshals to clear that car away, and once they've done that we should be ready to go once again here. So hopefully this won't be too long of a delay. I can't see this being a full safety car, to be perfectly honest with you. Hopefully we'll be underway as soon as possible. One thing I've noticed, I've been doing a few public lobbies recently, and I've realised that in online lobbies, if you get a virtual safety car, you almost inevitably end up getting a full safety car. And the reason for that is because people who play online, for the most part, outside of leagues, are just totally inept at driving. And so what happens is you get a VSC, nobody knows how to do it properly, or there's always one or two that can't do it properly, and you end up with a full safety car as a result. It's quite funny, but it's also very frustrating. But nonetheless, we come over the line to complete lap one of the race. Super Striker still leading by just about a second here to Bo in second place. Nordover, they're running in third place ahead of Corey, followed by Murph with Jordan Haley at Senna. They're up into 7th place at the end of the first lap. What a great start it's been from Senna to this race. Melduff there in 8th ahead of C4, followed by Steely, completing the top 10, not having the race so far with Steely in these wet conditions. Super Calgon there in 11th place, followed by Hammer, then Liam, ZX10 and Justify running in 15th place at the moment, and minus a front right end plate as well. So Justify there is going to have to come into the pits here at the end of this lap, surely you would think. And oh, what an unfortunate situation that is there for Justify. Obviously one of our stars of the Purple Sector League on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but tonight, after such a great start in the sprint race, towards the end lost his position, dropped from what was 5th place down to 8th place, and the Grand Prix unfortunately has got off on the same foot that the sprint race ended on. But nonetheless, Super Striker's got Bo keeping him on his toes at the moment. Mark Bo is not letting Super Striker disappear off into the distance here like he did in a sprint race. I think Super Striker's definitely going to face a much stiffer test in the Grand Prix than what he did in the sprint race. He's got his rival here. He's got the bane of his championship here, keeping him very much within his grasp at the moment. But nonetheless, North over there running in third place at a Corey, who's keeping him right on his toes at the moment. You've got Murph there, who's got Jordan and Senna attacking here. As Senna now looking to the inside, coming into the final section of the lap here. A bit of contact there as Senna tried to force his way through. Jordan holding his ground there on the inside, cuts the corner a little bit. And who's going to come out in front in this one? Jordan stayed ahead for the time being. Senna is now going to get the run down the start-finish straight. Is he going to make a move into turn one? He looks a little bit too far away there. That would be a very ballsy move, and he is going to go for it here. He's got confidence in these wet conditions on his intermediate tyres. Had a bit of a... I mean, the line is drying a bit, but it was still a very ballsy move. But Senna did make it stick there up into 6th place and can now try and attack on Murph, who's running in P5 just up the road from these two. And Senna is around 5 seconds off of the lead at this point, so certainly not out of the running here. But the more time he spends in traffic, the more time he's going to be ultimately losing to the likes of Super Striker and Bo, who are currently skipping off away here a little bit. Although saying that, Northover isn't that far away, and Corey as well. To be fair, these two are not out of it yet. Absolutely, they're staying within range of these two. I wonder how long they can, if indeed they might be able to for the whole race. But yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it's been a very, very strong first couple of laps here from Northover and Corey. Anybody who can keep these two in sight is doing a good job here in this Red Arrows F1 League. But nonetheless, we've got Senna all over the back of Murph now. He'll be wanting to dispatch Murph as soon as he possibly can, because he'll be wanting to minimise the amount that he's held up here in his pursuit of higher positions here in this race. But no DRS obviously around the track when you've got wet conditions, so that will be a factor here in his in the difficulty of not being able to get past. But we'll have to see how he's able to negotiate that. Super Striker's gap to Bo just creeping over a second here. Northover and Corey still keeping these two honest at this point. These two doing a very, very solid job so far here in this one. Here we go then. Senna made the overtake last lap on Jordan going into this corner. Now can he do the same thing here on the back of Murph? Here we go. Pulls to the inside now, and it's going to be an easy move here for the Ferrari driver up into P5, and says, see you later, Murph. I'm going to head off and try and fight for a podium here. So now Senna released into clean air. Let's see what he can do here. Currently running in P5. Super Striker nonetheless has got a slender gap here to Bo. Bo is closing in here though. Only 0.3 of a second as they come down this flat out part of the track here towards this tricky braking zone. The runoff can be a bit deceiving. Obviously the track limits is far within where that barrier protrudes, but at the moment Super Striker clinging on to the lead here. These two have now got just over a second here to Northover, who's still running in third place, with Corey keeping tabs as well. Corey looking hungry here on the back of Northover for that podium position. But Super Striker still has that slender advantage at the moment. Senna there running in 5th place. It's got over a second here to Murph running in P6. There's Jordan, Beldow, C. Faulkner and Steely completing the top 10 right now. A bit of a gap back to Super Calgon, who's running in P11. Liam, ZX10 at Hammer. And then a massive gap back to Justify, who had to come in for damage repairs very early on and is not having the night at all, it has to be said here so far. And it's a shame to see Justify in this position, because we know what sort of pace Justify has. We've seen it many, many times in Bevel Sector. We've seen it's got a lot of talent. So C. Faulkner, obviously a fellow driver of Justify in Bevel Sector. C. Faulkner's usually a little way off for Justify in Bevel Sector, but tonight C. Faulkner's been the one delivering the performance. And we see in the meantime we've got Super Striker now into the pits, so the race leader's coming in very early here, which is that is strange. I suppose maybe the pressure of Bo made him think that he just wants some clean air. He doesn't want that pressure from behind. It might make him more susceptible to make a mistake. Maybe his thinking is get into the pits into some clean air where he hasn't got somebody hassling him, and hope that it doesn't affect him as much. But Bo nonetheless still out the front here with this lead. Interestingly, there has been a bit of a discrepancy in the tyres that people have gone for in this race so far. Bo started on the wet tyres. I think now we see what tyres is Super Striker's gone for a set of inters, so I think he started on the wets and he's now on the inters. Senna obviously started on the inters, so he is in a prime position here. I'll tell you what, Senna has got a fantastic chance here in this race. He went for a very ballsy move. So did Steely as well, running in 9th place. So Steely and Senna, I reckon, are probably going to be net 1 and 2 here in this race. There is no mandatory pit stop in a wet race. That's one thing that people often don't realise. And in Formula 1, there is no mandatory pit stop. The pit stop is not the mandatory part of Formula 1. The mandatory part is that you have to use 2 different dry tyre compounds. So if you get a red flag and you change tyres during a red flag, you can go the whole race without pitting. You don't have to pit. And it's the same in a wet race. If it's a wet start, you don't have to use any amount of tyres. But saying that though, 31 laps on one set of tyres would definitely be a bit of a stretch. I would be surprised if Senna went the whole race on them, but it does allow him to extend the stint somewhat and potentially maybe have a chance to put the dries on if the track dries up later on, whereas the other guys might have to put another set of wet tyres on or inters before they can then put the dries on towards the end of the race. Senna's in a in a very enviable position here because he can actually stay out on the track until probably about lap 20 something, probably lap 22, 23 or something like that. That's generally the Inters last between 20 to 25 laps if you're very kind to them. So Senna could be in a very, very strong position here in this race. He's certainly played himself into a good spot here at the moment. But nonetheless, it's Bo who leads, but very, very narrowly. North over Corey and Senna has certainly closed the gap on him over the last lap or so. You've got Jordan running in 5th place as leading a train of cars from Melda, C4 and Steely. So there's 2 trains here. This 5-car train battling for the lead, and you've also got a 4-car train battling for 5th place at the moment. Behind them, they're all a little bit spread out at the moment. You've got some of the drivers who have come in up early for pits for intermediate tyres, but the wet runners at the moment sticking with it, trying to stay true to their strategy. I wonder if anybody's going to try and skip the intermediary phase of the race and just go straight from wets to dries, because you can do it, but those wet tyres will be completely shredded by the end of the stint. And if you haven't been extremely kind to them over the course of that stint, you will probably go into the barrier before you end up being able to put the dries on. It's extremely difficult to get those wets to last that intermediate phase, even more so when the track dries, because by the time you can put slicks on, the wet tyres can basically not handle it. You have to pretty much time it to perfection. You have to get that crossover to the lap, otherwise you either end up in the barrier or you'll lose so much time that it's just ridiculous. But in the meantime, Senna has moved up the inside there of Corey up into P3, so he's now into the podium places here on the intermediate tyres, continuing to cut his way through this pack here. And Senna in a very strong position indeed here in this race. He still can stay out there for a while, and his pace should be far better than these drivers on the wet tyres in front of him, because the dry track, you can see the dry line certainly visible here. There's very little spray coming off the cars now, so I wonder if anybody's going to be thinking about slicks at this point. I reckon it's probably still about 3 laps away at this point, but yeah, to be fair, probably it's not going to happen at this point. You can see a dry line and the spray is almost non-existent at this point, I'm telling you that. So yeah, we might not be far away here from slick tyres, and I reckon these wet runners will be looking to switch straight from the wets to the slicks, because at this stage it doesn't really look like there's much point in going for the inters, because you have to come in 4 or 5 laps anyway, and you probably lose more time by being in the pits than you would by going on the inters. In the meantime, though, Bo has still got a standard lead, but Northover's coming under pressure here from Senna, who's looking to the inside, and Senna's going to gain another place here, started at the back of the grid in 14th place. He's worked his way up into 2nd place, and now next up for him will be the race leader, Bo. Let's keep an eye on Super Striker here, because let's see what the gap is to Bo, the leader. It's 20 seconds, so you lose about 21, 22 seconds in the pits. At this point, Super Striker will have executed the undercut, and I reckon that delta is going to come down. It's certainly not going to be going up at this point, because he's on the fresher and more appropriate tyres for the conditions. So at this stage in the race, I can only see Super Striker cutting into that lead. The only thing that these guys will have an advantage of is the delta in terms of fresher tyres, and potentially the ability to go straight to the dry tyres as well. That could be a big one, if indeed they're able to make these wet tyres last throughout the intermediate stint, which, as I said before, is not easy. But Senna, nonetheless, is sizing up the race leader. A little bit too far away this time around. Doesn't want to rush it here. It's just taking his time. Knows that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to make this move for the lead. It's just about making sure he does it in a clean way without getting damage on his or Mark Bowe's car. Mark Bowe a little bit wide, a little bit out of shape there. Senna now senses opportunity, and this is going to be a side-by-side up the inside. Senna looking down the inside. Is he surely going to make this move? Mark Bowe somehow managing to keep it around the outside there. Fantastic racing here between these two. Goes a little bit wide there. Now over the Anderson Bridge here. And again, just a little bit too far away is Senna. Still can't make that move. What a race Senna's driven here in this first part of the stint. Mark Bowe, though, not giving up in this one, despite the fact that those wet tyres must be really suffering at this point. I mean, he's been on those since the early stages of this race, and he's somehow managing to work, even though you can see how little spray there is on the track now. In fact, the spray is almost completely gone at this point in the race. So, yeah, he's going to be really struggling at this point. I reckon we're going to be seeing some drivers coming in and moving straight onto the slick tyres in a lap or two's time. Oh, look at that, Markbo, massive slide there coming out onto the straight. Here we go then, Senna up the inside. This is it. This is the moment. Senna's done it up into turn one, and he takes the lead in the Singapore Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League. He's been pushing through. He's been picking them off left, right and centre, and now our former champion of Motive Racing's Formula 1 League there is now leading the race, having just got a bit of a slide there coming out of turn 3, but holds on for the time being. And what a phenomenal first stint it has been from this man. Started in 14th place, put the right tyres on at the start of the race, and is reaping the benefits right now. The wet tyres were certainly the better tyre in the first couple of laps, but after about lap 3 or 4, the intermediate tyres came into their own, and Senna is now not only a pit stop ahead essentially, but also the race leader, albeit, as I said before, the pit stop ahead might not be the case because we could be seeing dry tyres coming on in a few laps' time. If this rain stops, basically within a lap or so of this rain stopping, will be slicked because this rain is incredibly light. The racing line is practically dry, so all we need now is for the rain to stop, and the racing line will be bone dry within a lap, because the only thing that's keeping the racing line slippery at the moment is this little drizzle that's falling at this moment in time. They're shedding it every time they go past, but that's the only reason now why slick tyres aren't going to be a factor here, but they certainly will be if this rain stops. But Senna already 4 seconds clear, just goes to show the pace that the Inters have got at the moment over the wet tyres. They are so much quicker at this phase in the race. Senna here coming through the final couple of corners here, about to complete that line of the race. And yeah, that is well, I mean, what can you say about that? That was just that was the Senna that we all came to know here at Motive in the F1 League. Yeah, twice runner-up in the championship, also a champion. In fact, might have even been 3 times runner-up. I know he was runner-up a few times, but he won season 6 as well. And yeah, just yeah, what can we say? I mean, historical figure here in the F1 game on the Motive channel. And nonetheless, we've got C. Faulkner into the pits, presumably for their intermediate tyres. Yep, off and away he goes. But I reckon there will be some hesitation from drivers to come in for inters at this point, because I reckon a lot of the wet runners now are going to be holding out for the dries, because they don't want to make that extra pit stop if they don't have to. But it's going to be very tricky indeed for those who are on the wet tyres at this point, because you can see how dry that line is, and you can see all of the wet runners here moving off of the racing line to try and pick up some spray. I reckon soon enough we're going to be seeing the intermediate runners doing that. That's how dry it is now. It's getting to the point where I think the racing line is almost too dry for the inters. I'll tell you what, if you can stick to that racing line, if you can make sure that you don't run wide at all, you probably could put the dry tyres on at this point, but it's a bit of a risk. And if you moved even an inch off of that racing line, then it could be game over here. So it would be a real risk at this stage, but there's no spray at all on the racing line now, and only a little bit of a pitter-patter falling on the track here as Hammer's out of the race. He's crashed out of the session. That's a VSC. Is that carrot gonna be tempting anybody into the pits here? Let's watch and see. Senna was already past the pits. What about Mark Bowe? He's coming in. Mark Bowe's coming in. Is it going to be inters or dries? That's the question. That is the $1 million question here. Northover also is coming in. So is Corey. So is Steely. Oh my goodness. Everyone's coming in here. Everyone's coming in the pits. Mark Bowe putting hard tyres on. It's dry tyres going on. The wet runners are moving straight onto the dry tyres here. Senna staying out for the time being, but the VSC, this is a full safety car. Oh, and he's already been picked up by the safety car. That could be some of the worst luck imaginable for Senna. My goodness. Steely has done a risky strategy here. He's put another set of inters on. Oh, and Senna's rage quit because of the safety car. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Oh well. Never mind. But anyway, we've got Bowe leading the race with Northover in second and Corey third, but Senna's left the session by the looks of it. Will be taking no further part in this one. That's a shame. But I suppose on the intermediates, having been picked up by the safety car, his chances of the race win were pretty slim. has to be said. Here we are, confirmation that safety car's coming in this time around, so Mark Bow slowing up the pace here on those hard tyres. Senna's coming for some fresh hard tyres, and I think he might be back at the wheel here. Yeah, he is back at the wheel, so that's good to see. Senna is going to be trying to come from 12th here on this restart on those hard tyres. They can all go to the end from here, so it's going to be straight up a 20-lap sprint, if you can call a 20-lap race a sprint. But I suppose actually it would be like a sprint race in real life F1. That's what I think it's going to be like here. This is effectively what I think it should be referred to as. So here we come then, in towards the final part of the lap here. It's going to be Bow to get us underway as we come through into towards the final corner now. Bow's over there. Second place right behind him. Corey's going to be third place, followed by Jordan with Super Striker there in P5, having been in total control over the race in the first part of the race. Obviously came into the pits early for intermediate tyres and ended up making an extra pit stop. But here we are then, underway once again. It's Bow leading ahead of Northover. Corey there right behind Jordan, Super Striker, S13, followed by Steely. Meldav moving up into 8th place there ahead of Super Calgan, has made that one stick there. Super Calgan 9th ahead of Murph, followed by C4, and they're running in P12 at the moment, with Justify and Liam running at the back in P14 as they come down this section of the track there, this flat out part of the circuit, down towards the heavy braking zone of turn 5. And at the moment, Bow still has that lead. Corey is looking pretty racy here at the back of Northover at the moment. As Super Striker there having a spin, and Super Striker is in the wall. Oh, the contrasting fortunes here tonight. He absolutely dominated the first stint of this race, but he's binned it into the wall. He's probably feeling frustrated with how his fortunes have turned already. Now they've taken an even worse turn here. Hopefully he hasn't got damage on the car, but it was a substantial whack into the wall, but it certainly wasn't a shunt. As Murph has had a bit of a whack into the wall there as well. We're down to P14. His Super Striker's teammate there. So the Alpine's having a horror show of a restart to this race. But it's Bow leading ahead of Northover, followed by Corey. There's Jordan, followed by ZX10. Sealy ahead of Meldav, followed by Super Calgan. There's C4 and Liam Justify running in P11 at the moment. It's got Senna hunting him down here in this battle for 11th place. Looking to the inside of Senna, a little bit too far away. Just going into that part of the lap there. But coming towards the end of the first lap of this restart, and Northover is hunting down Bow as they come down towards turn 1. He's a little bit too far away there going into turn 1, but he's getting closer and closer here in these first couple of laps of the restart. DRS will be available on this lap, not down here, but I believe down the next straight we'll see DRS enabled. Yet we will. So this is going to be Northover's chance here to take the lead of the race. They gap 0.3 of a second. Surely we're going to see Northover leading coming into the next braking zone. Here we go then, Northover to the right hand side of your screen, pulls to the inside, and he's going to make that move. Is he going to make it stick though, because Bow's going to keep it there around the outside. Bow has the inside here for this right hander. Northover with the momentum there, going around the outside up into P1. Lovely move there from the Red Bull on the McLaren as we see Murph into the pits for some soft tyres, presumably damaged there on his car, and has put tyres on which are going to under no circumstances get him anywhere near the end of this race. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there with that particular tyre choice, but nonetheless we move back to the leaders here as we saw Meldav there going very late on the brakes, almost tapping Steely in the rear, but nothing major there. But at the moment Jordan looking very close here on Corey. Has kind of grown into this race a little bit as Jordan. We're struggling in the wet, but seems like he's got a bit of confidence here in the dry conditions, challenging for the podium places, having a little look to the inside of Corey into that corner, but just not quite in a position to challenge through that part of the track. Here we come then through the final couple of quarters here, and Northover, your new race leader, having made that move into turn 5 at the previous lap. Super Striker in the meantime has moved ahead of Liam up into P12, and Liam coming into the pits here at the end of lap 15. So presumably some damage, or maybe just doesn't like the hard tyres very much. Who knows, potentially go to the end on the mediums from here as well. But Northover out the front here has got 0.4 of a second of a gap here over Bow. Bow's going to look to try and return the favour here on Northover. Northover made the move on the previous lap at this part of the track. Here goes Bow to the inside now, and he's going to make that move on Northover this time around. Those two swapping positions. That's a role reversal there between those two on that lap. And Northover almost tapping in the rear there, but Bow's got that one done there up into the lead at this point. I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted with that. Corey waiting in the background, watching this unfold in front of him. Jordan, ZX10 Sealy Meldav and Super Calgon all very, very close here. 8 drivers here, separated by less than 3 seconds. What a battle this is for the lead here at the halfway point of this Singapore Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League. And Bo has still got that lead at the moment, but for how much longer is he going to be able to hang on to this? Because Northo was already overtaken him once, and Bo had to come back and make the move on him again. ZX10 has moved ahead of Steely up into 5th place. Is he going to have this one done, as Steely's still keeping himself there? ZX10 there managing to out-drag Steely. Now Meldav looking to try and get involved, can't get it done. We see a massive lock up there from Meldav, but getting it stopped for the corner actually reasonably well. Didn't really cost him at all there, so he got away lightly with that one. Bo in the meantime has done the fastest lap of the race there at 1:31.5 out the front, or his gap to Northover still not particularly significant at this point, as they're coming out of turn 3 once again here. And Bo here currently with a slender advantage right now over the McLaren, but it looks like he's a little bit far ahead this time compared to previous times. I don't think Northover's going to be able to make the move this time coming into this corner. He's done it a few times in this race between these two, but Steely in the meantime has moved ahead of ZX10 up into 5th place at the end of that straight there. Also C. Faulkner and Senna battling here. Senna does make that move there ahead of the Aston Martin up into 9th place. In the background there, just Super Striker checking the back of Justify at the moment as well. Justify himself is trying to move here ahead of C. Faulkner for P10, but Justify here has got a nice run. He's going to now look to the inside. C. Faulkner is going to hold on to that one for the time being. Our star of the sprint race is staying ahead in that battle for P10. And Super Striker's going to have to just wait a little bit longer here, and he's going to be incredibly frustrated here, because in the first part of this race it was looking like it was going to be another Monaco here for Super Striker, and the sprint race as well. He was just totally in control of the sprint race. He completely dominated it. Bo was keeping him honest. Let's be honest. In this Grand Prix, it wasn't going to be a walkover, but he was in the battle for the win, wasn't he? I mean, podium was pretty much guaranteed. And then everything went wrong. He obviously came in early in the race for the intermediates, and ended up a pit stop behind, because everybody went straight from the wets to the dries. By that point, he'd only managed to gain about 7 or 8 seconds in the pit by obviously coming in, getting the undercut and putting the right tyres on. But the wet tyres were able to change onto the dries very seamlessly. And at that point, yeah, he hadn't gained enough time to have made the use of that extra pit stop, which is unfortunate there. And obviously the safety car as well, everyone came in under the safety car, which also created a bit of a double whammy, as ZX10 there's moved around the outside of Meldav up into 6th place, and that is job done there for ZX10. Another position there for him. Just seeing there on the notification screen, Senna has left the session, so I don't know if something else had happened there. I know he was in a battle with the likes of Faulkner, Striker and Justify, but Senna's unmistakably left the session there, that's very unfortunate there, obviously, because one of our famed racers here on the Motive channel managed to take pole position for the sprint race earlier on, but that was unfortunately the high point of what has been a truly dismal evening by his standards, I have to say. Bo still has this lead over Northover and Corey, Jordan, Steely. They're completing the top 5. Here comes Meldav. Meldav on the back of ZX10 as they go through the first couple of corners. Nothing doing. Super Striker's moved ahead of C. Faulkner now up into 9th place. So that is job done there for Super Striker. Now he can try and chase down the leaders here. He's 10 seconds off of P1 at the moment. Let's see where he can get to. Can he get in the top 5? Can he get a podium maybe? That might be a bit of a stretch here for him. That's Meldav there, ahead of ZX10 now up into P6. So these two continuing their battle here at the moment. Super Calgon is right there with them as well, as you see a bit of a lock up there. But riding on board with the Mercedes of Super Calgon, you've got the Aston of Meldav and the kick salver there of ZX10 just in front of them as they're coming through this middle part of the lap here. But I think Meldav's just starting to extend the gap a bit. Having got ahead of ZX10, he was stuck behind him. He's now stretching his legs here in 6th place. ZX10 is coming under pressure here from Super Calgon, as they've all got DRS now on Meldav, ZX10 and Super Calgon. They've both got that rear wing open on the Aston Martin through this section of the track. Oh, look at this. Steely making a move to the inside of Jordan. Oh my goodness. I thought he was going to go for a dive there, but was very managed actually how he had dealt with that. I thought he was going to go all in, but yeah, the problem here Steely's got is that Jordan has just about climbed onto DRS there on Corey, so wasn't able to get the benefit coming down Ruffles Boulevard for the time being. Has to hold position here in P5. In the meantime, C Faulkner has moved ahead of Justify up into 10th place. Justify is trying to come back and keeping himself close here at the moment, but nothing doing through there. That's Corey there, a bit wide coming out of that corner there. He's still very close on the back of the Red Bull as they're coming into the final part of the lap here. He's a bit down on his personal best there as Corey coming through the middle sector. But still very close on the back of the Red Bull. Nonetheless, personal best sector times aren't going to be too representative at this point because they've done a fair few laps on these hard tyres, even though the fuel loads are starting to wear down a little bit at this point in the race. On these tyres, you wouldn't expect to see a whole host of improvements, but Jordan Hillier is still close on the back of Corey down towards turn 1. Still a little bit too far away there. But these 4 drivers here battling out of second place. Bo is playing the role of Super Striker from the sprint race here in this Grand Prix. He has got up and got away, and he absolutely needed this 100% because Super Striker has dominated the last couple of rounds here in the Red Arrows League. And Bo needed a strong result in this Grand Prix. I was saying before, he has to win this one. And not only is he winning, but he's also outscoring his rival by an enormous amount of points. And tonight's a big night for Bo and Super Striker with no Soggy Cucumber here tonight. I don't know if Soggy Cucumber's still in the league. Hopefully he's not left the league. I hope this is just a one-off and he's not here for 1 week. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a close run thing between Bo and Super Striker nonetheless. As we're currently watching North Dover, Corey, Jordan and Steely. Still this 4-car battle here for second place. As it rages on towards the final few laps here at Singapore. Jordan looking to the inside of Corey. Can't quite make that one happen at the moment. It's Bo coming over the line here. Start lap 22. 10 laps left to go here at Singapore. North Dover, Corey, Jordan and Steely still running close. Meldav has been just quietly bringing himself into this battle here. I tell you what, hadn't noticed him until now, but Meldav has actually put some daylight between himself and ZX Tenor and Super Calvin as well, who's with him. Super Striker's closed up onto those two, but Meldav has cut his ties from them and is now absolutely going after this battle for the podium here. So this is now a 5-car battle here for second place, which is still headed by Northover at the moment. But for how much longer? Because there's a lot of cars here who will be fancying that position. They'll all feel like it's rightfully theirs at this point in the race, that's for sure. Lehman has moved Senna up into P12. But Senna, obviously, that's AI in the car because Senna himself left the session a few laps ago, so he's not currently there. No, it's not him. Well, him, but it's not him. As I do apologise, guys, I'm very, very tired. I went to sleep at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at about, 10 o'clock. Excuse really. I just don't sleep anymore. I stay up all night. Would have probably been 4 or 5 o'clock if I hadn't had work the next day. As North Dover is battling with Corey here, side by side stuff. Corey getting around the outside. and is up into second place there with a lovely move. And Jordan there looking to the inside on Northover, but can't make the move there. Steely and Melda still waiting in the wings. ZX10, Super Striker, Super Calvin, all in a line here. This is going to very quickly become an 8-car battle here for second place. Mark Bow has skipped off into the distance and has got away with all of the dramas going on behind. But at the moment, Corey still has the upper hand here in this battle. As C40 there's moved to justify up into the points. So that's now job done there for the Aston. ZX10 has moved back ahead of Meldav. We're saying that Meldav's still very, very close here. In fact, sorry, it's Meldav and Super Striker, should I say. We're battling now. Super Striker now is around the outside there of Meldav. So Meldav, they're down 2 places now in that exchange. And after extending the gap to ZX10 earlier on, ZX10 is now somehow running in P6. How everything changes so quickly here. Super Striker, though, will be sizing these guys up. Mark Bow will be quite happy right now. He'll be knowing that Super Striker is down in 7th place. What he might not know, or what he might know now, is that Super Striker is only 2 seconds off of second place, because you've got second down to all the way down to 9th place, separated by about 3 seconds. So it's absolutely incredible, the battle right now. Northover and Corey swapping places there. Northover currently running in second place at the moment. Corey and Jordan right there with him with Steely as well. ZX10, Super Striker, Meldav and Super Calvin. They're all lining up here. They're all waiting to have a piece of this potential second place here, with 3 seconds covering these 8 drivers at the moment. We've got about 7 laps left to go here, just over 7 laps left here in this Singapore Grand Prix here tonight. And it's basically Northover in second, and all the rest of them are currently in 3rd place right now. The Super Striker moving up into P6 there ahead of ZX10, so that's now job done here for Super Striker, continuing to cut his way through the pack after the very poorly timed safety car and maybe the ill-judged switch to the Inters. It was the right tire to be on at that time, but the extra pit stop wasn't worth it in the end, and may not have even been worth it even if the safety car hadn't come out at the worst time. But nonetheless, he's limiting the damage here in this race. So there's not very far to go now here in this one. In the meantime, Corey now to the inside of Northover as he makes that move into second place, and that's job done, but Northover's not done. He's looking back to the outside here. Corey's going to cover the inside line, goes a little bit wide, a little bit deep, but gets it stopped, and Northover coming under pressure now from Jordan. So Jordan Hillier fancying a 3rd place here, is Steely moving back ahead of Super Striker. Super Striker made the move on him very briefly there, but ends up dropping behind ZX10 and Meldav, and Super Striker has lost out enormously there. Had tried to make a move, ended up losing 2 places there, as Meldav moving back ahead of ZX10 as well, up into P6. What dramas here in these late stages of the race at the moment, but Super Striker will be fuming with that one, because he was chasing down a P5 there, and Steely managing to hold on. In the end, Meldav and ZX10 managing to capitalise on Super Striker's slight mistake there. But Corey now running in second place, having made that move on Northover a few moments ago. We've got 6 laps left here in this race. It's boiling down to the final stages here. Who is going to take second place here? It's wide open between all 8 of these drivers. Saying that Super Calgon's dropped off of them a little bit. They're in 9th place. Maybe now might not be a factor here in this battle for second place. But all the rest of them still right there. Here goes Northover again here on the back of Corey. To the inside, it's going to be a move done, is it? Oh no, Corey's keeping it around the outside there. And Northover can't get that one done. Corey on the inside. Now should be able to cover it off through this next sequence, and he does so very nicely. In the background there, as Jordan there gets a mistake and is down to 8th place. Got a bit of a half spin there, managing to save it, but has dropped to almost the foot of this train here. He's now just ahead of Super Calgon there, who's running behind him in P9. Lucas Fernandez says, are these using the same machinery? Yep, equal cars. Everyone's in equal cars here tonight. Bo has just got away here in this Grand Prix. Um, he's similar level to the guys behind, but he's just managed to get away. Everyone else has been battling, and he's just managed to get clean air. Has just run off. But yeah, Corey is currently keeping this train of cars behind him. These two, Corey and Northover, have been sharing the lead over this train now for a few laps. Super Striker, as things stand, will gain a few places because he's got no penalties, so he'll actually move ahead of the likes of Steely, Meldev and ZX10 once the checkered flag comes. That will be some solace here for him at this point. Senna mentioned in the comments, internet wasn't there for me tonight, unfortunately. Hopefully you'll see me again soon, mate. Yeah, hopefully to see you on track before the end of the season, mate. It's a shame your return to the Motive channel wasn't as glorious as I was predicting it would be at the beginning of the sprint race, but nonetheless, yeah, I mean, you're welcome, always welcome on the Motive channel whenever we've got leagues on, which hopefully be at some point. But yeah, it's good to see you here in the Red Arrows tonight. For those of you who aren't aware, also Red Arrows viewers and Red Arrows drivers, Senna's the reason why I'm commentating on these races every Monday. He was the one who recommended the league, said that they were needing a commentator. So yeah, without him, this wouldn't have happened. So to be fair, I've got to give credit to him as well. I believe I gave credit in my first commentary for this league, but yeah, coming back to that point, it's definitely Senna's the one who orchestrated this arrangement. But yeah, nonetheless, the battle for second place continuing to rage on here with Corey, Northover, Steely and Meldev. And Super Striker's dropped off for these guys a little bit over the course of this lap here, so I don't quite know what's going on there with him. Jordan's moved out of ZX10 in the meantime up to 7th place, and Super Calvin's still right there behind them at the moment. But yeah, it's currently still pretty close run thing here for second place. I'm sure that Super Striker is going to stick to these guys. Just dropped off a little bit over the course of this lap, but he's still going to be a factor. You can bet on that, as Meldev moving ahead of Steely. Down the start, finish straight there with DRS. Up into 4th place there goes Meldev. And yeah, with the penalties, looking unlikely that Meldev and Steely are going to be able to finish on the podium. It's looking very likely that Super Striker will be able to finish at least 4th as things stand, if he can stay where he is and not get any penalties. ZX10 there moving ahead of Jordan up into 7th place. And a bit of a lock up there. Oh, it's Jordan there, goes a little bit deep. He's trying to come back as ZX10, but no, that's not going to happen, just through there. And ZX10 clinging on for the time being in that one. Closing stages of the Singapore Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League here for round 8 of 12 here for season 13. It's currently still the battle for second place raging on here. Super Striker has well and truly rejoined this fight for P2 after dropping off about a lap or so ago. We see in the background there Meldev there throwing a little feint to the inside on the back of the Red Bull of Northover. Northover though is more focused on what's in front of him here, because he's got Corey currently with a looming rear end here in the face of him, and potentially with the DRS we could be seeing Northover making this move here for second place in a moment's time. He'll need to get a good exit out of the next corner, the next right-hander coming up here in just a second. If he can get a good exit here, then he will have a lot of slipstream, and he'll get DRS anyway nonetheless, because he's within a second regardless. Saying that though, it wasn't the exit that Northover needed there at all, and Corey will just be able to survive here into this next braking zone and should be comfortable for the time being. So nothing doing there for Northover just at the moment, and he's going to hang on for the time being. Oh, it's Jordan there, very late on the brakes. Massive lock up there, made that move up into 7th place there ahead of ZX10. ZX10, I don't think he's going to be too happy with that. He has got more penalties than Jordan, but I don't think that's really relevant. And Jordan there was extremely aggressive going into that part of the track there. Wow. That was borderline, yeah, borderline, that's what I'm going to say on that one, actually. Yeah. Anyway. About to start the penultimate lap of the race, should I say, is Mark Bow. who's dominated this Grand Prix, saying that the gap hasn't really gone up in the last few laps. I think he's been managing it really, hasn't really been pushing, hasn't needed to push really. He's had this under control for a while. Lucas Fernandez says, how do you qualify to get here? It's not esports, so you can join, anyone can join. They're a pretty quick bunch, not like esports level, but there's some quick guys in here. There's some very, very quick guys in it. I'd say at least a few of them are at 110 AI. So yeah, it's a tough league, but you can join. I should be putting the link in the what's it called, the description really. But let me put it in the live chat. I don't know. I imagine they're probably recruiting drivers. I wouldn't have thought they wouldn't be, because there's no AI limit. I think they allow anybody in. So yeah, click that link, mate. That'll take you there. Oh shoot! I can hear myself there. Bloody hell. But so yeah, just click that link, mate. That'll take you to Discord. Do you think these people play with controllers or steering wheels? Is mixed? I'm sure it's mixed. I think one or two of them race on the wheel. A lot of them race on a controller. But yeah, I think it's definitely mixed. There's Super Striker there, up into 4th place ahead of Melda through that corner. And Bo here coming through the final corner. About to start the final lap of the race here in what's been a totally dominant display here tonight at Singapore. He's moments away here from taking a much needed morale boost here. But his championship Robert is running in 4th place. It only gained, well, a handful of points, but it will certainly be a much needed boost here for him. C4 is still battling with Justify, but it's got a penalty, so Justify will be in the points regardless here. And Justify's now got a 3-second penalty himself here, but a lot less than Faulkner. But Northover and Corey are battling it. Oh, and here comes Super Striker. Super Striker trying to make the move here for 3rd place. Can't get the run there, which was a little bit down on speed coming out of that corner. Had to take a tighter line, and Corey managed to hold on to 3rd place. But Northover and Corey giving it everything here on this final lap. All of these guys are gaining on the race leader though. Bo is only 8 seconds clear now. Has he had a problem in these final couple of laps? What is going on here with Bo? We'll have to come back to him in a second. The gap is absolutely plummeting here between Bo and the rest of the pack here. So what is going on with the race leader? He is almost stopping here. What is happening? As Liam is just on the fast lap of the race on fresh soft tyres. Northover, Corey, Super Striker all running very, very close here. So coming to the final few corners of this lap, Bo is absolutely slowing down to a snail's pace at this point. He's only 3 seconds ahead. He was 12 seconds ahead a lap ago. What is he doing? He's going to come around. He's just going to speed up as they're catching up to him. But nonetheless, here we come into the final corner here for this Singapore Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows F1 League. It's going to be Mark Bowe who takes the checkered flag, and he's your race winner tonight. Northover 2nd with Corey over to complete the podium. Super Striker 4th ahead of Melda 5th with Steely over in P6. Super Calgan gets 7th ahead of Zoe Stenner in 8th, followed by Jordan who comes over in P9. C. Fortin is going to come through the final corner, and it's going to be 10th place here for C. Fortin. And yeah, I know, Lucas, I know, pretty obvious, mate. C. Faulkner ended up losing out to Justify, who gets the final point ahead of C. Faulkner in 11th place. Liam's coming through the final sector here. Yeah, not even the final sector, he's miles behind. So is Murph. Senna's AI has finished a lap down in P14, as Liam has now left the session. So that now just leaves Liam's AI and Murph to cross the line and finish the race here. But what a race that was from Bo. And the gap in the end, very unrepresentative of what sort of race that was. That was a very one-sided race in which Mark Bowe was absolutely in control from start to finish. And he showed that control at the end by allowing everybody to almost overtake him, but just a little bit too late. As Mark Bowe with a phenomenal drive there, winning the race by half a second in the end, which is absolutely insane. And you consider how the dynamic of that race went for the majority of it. But nonetheless, that is that then for tonight's action here in the Red Arrows F1 League. Mark Bowe taking the win. And the 2 podium finishers who gave it absolutely everything over the course of that. They were doing a phenomenal final stint there. Obviously, Corey having that brilliant battle there. But Northover coming out on top in that one. But nonetheless, guys, we'll see you all very, very soon. Join us next week at the same time as always for round 9 of the Red Arrows F1 League, the business end of the season, the championship round, so to speak, if this was boxing, will be coming up in the next few weeks. So join us for round 9 of the season at 8:15 p.m. UK time next week, and we'll be live for a 3-tie compound race from Algarve, Portimao, Portugal for that one. So that's going to be exciting to see. Also, if you're around this week, later on in the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've got Purple Sector, and Purple Sector will be at Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix tomorrow night, and then Monza for the Italian Grand Prix on Thursday. Lots to get excited about, lots to get involved with, and also drivers in the Red Arrows League, look out, because I'm going to be putting something out on the Motive channel or on the Motive Discord very soon. So if you haven't signed up to that, I'll probably put it in the Red Arrows League if Super Striker lets me. But nonetheless, cheers everybody, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Good night.